Hi, my name is Kayla June, and this is Somatic Groundwork. Today, I'd like to look at some ways to play with and explore body half. In somatic groundwork, there are a few kind of primary, underlying practices that are occurring no matter what the movement exploration is. And one of those is a sense of moving from relaxation. And so we are practicing that through a neurological action called yield. And simply, this is the experience of really kind of allowing the body to be supported in the space and then to relate with that support to then kind of express or move back from. So there's a reciprocal relationship of kind of surrendering and allowing the release of weight into either space, the floor, could be another person, and then being in contact with that support and working with it. As well, the breath, it's the kind of thing that moves all that moves. So continuing to come back to the expression of the breath, the way it's shaping the internal landscape, what's happening not only inside of the body, but then how is it influencing this expressive movement that we have in the environment. Then there's the practice of tracking sensation, really dropping into this kind of sensory wonderland of the body and being present with the body's wisdom, what the body has to say. And essentially, that's getting to know the soma, the nature of oneself. Let's come down to the floor and get started with some explorations of body half, keeping in mind this moving from relaxation and yield, the breathing, and the kind of tracking and interacting with sensory feedback. Let's begin in constructive rest position. So in constructive rest position, lying on the spine, kind of getting a sense where the standing feet are, allowing the arms to fall naturally to the side, and noticing where that is for you in terms of distance from the hips and kind of if the arms are falling open or if it's right to kind of have the palms grounding through the floor, somewhere in between. We won't spend too much time with this right now because certainly this is a practice all in of itself. And there are other kind of videos where we get into yielding, constructive rest position, and various types of methods that can help with coming into the parasympathetic system or that calm response, relaxation response. A lot of different ways to talk about that. We also know now that this can help stimulate vagal tone. And essentially, it's this dropping in, using yield, using breath, that allows us to start to influence the autonomic nervous system. And there's an incredible amount of benefit to contacting that largely subconscious aspect of ourself, bringing awareness to it. Now, when we're talking about body half, we're looking at a developmental pattern that is about organizing kind of the right and the left sides of the body. So the right side of the body, you might think of how the lower limb and the upper limb kind of work in harmony. And when I say harmony, it's almost like working in that kind of same folding and unfolding patterns through the joints. So I'm beginning quite simply here by giving some feedback to the brain about, okay, here's the right side of the body. And as I'm moving the right side of the body, noticing if I can keep the left side anchored and relatively calm, easy. So here I'm efforting on the right side and kind of remaining what might be called anchored on the other side. So to do this, if I bring in the left side body now, kind of this simple knee to elbow play, what I notice going on the right side of the body is an anchoring into the right foot. So again, sometimes we'll call that the standing foot because there is active support coming from that yielding. And releasing the weight of the arm out to the side gives a little bit of balance. So there's play here, right? So I can keep this kind of in a very small range, even smaller than that. Yeah. I can begin to get a little bit bigger, fully extended in the space as well. Okay, so right and left side. Now just a couple of options in terms of where this can go. Bringing the left side in. I can use that to begin initiating a roll. And so I'm active again on this left side and letting the right side body kind of do what it does. Again, it's in that anchored and supportive place. So again, there can be then play here in terms of this connectivity. And this again, body half, it's largely around kind of the same shaping that the upper and lower are doing. Letting that resolve. Always listening to the body in terms of what is it asking for. And organic unwinding begins to happen, like that really lovely pandiculation that I had just now. Okay, and so then let's bring in the right side or your other side. And again, now my right side is what's active. I'm thinking about the connectivity of it, and I'm bringing kind of easy rolling and rotation. There's a way of allowing each kind of side of the body right now having its own little dance. I can already see how this is quite a different experience than the other side of me. Now, in our knee drop series, we see that there is already a play for body half. I'm realizing right now my body's saying, hey, give me a little bit of reset, honoring that. Again, the yielding, moving from relaxation, the diaphragmatic breath, this expression of breath, the tracking of sensation. So in knee drop, we often kind of see what's happening in the lower body. And there's a lot of different ways to practice and play with knee drop. If we're looking at kind of this fundamental part of the knees dropping, I could invite the upper body to follow, again, thinking of this now body half piece. And I might begin to see what's happening there. Now, in a body half, you can start to get into when one side of the body moves into folding, we often see that the other side of the body has an opportunity to move into extending or reaching away from the center. So we can think about different pieces of language here, right? So maybe there's the condensing on this right side and the expanding on the left side. Now, to get that expansion, I am using an active push through this foot. And I'm starting to play with movement forces through the body. Very exciting part of somatic groundwork is interacting with movement forces. Okay, so again, we've got knee drop. I'm now moving to the left. I could go, all right, I'm going to bring in the arm. Just kind of starting to get it's a curiosity of how can I begin to almost ignite this, what I think of as a neurological landscape map in the body, right? So from birth to 2 years old, we're setting up kind of a very particular sequence of patterns to help us move into walking and be upright. Okay, so there's this folding in one side. Now I'm using a different language, unfolding on the other side, folding, unfolding. We have condensing, expanding, shortening, lengthening. This time I'm going to settle back out into X. This is where body half gets really fun when we come into the X position. So here I can bring in that same idea. All right. And so here's the thing with body half is that it's not static around the spine. So here I'm kind of fixing the spine and fixing the other side of the body, and I've got just the right side going, right? Okay, well, that's a nice beginning. But remember that we've got the one side condensing and then the other side expanding. Now I'm really going to start getting some pretty big sensory feedback here all along this lengthened side. I'm feeling kind of the front of the hip, up along the rib cage, outside of the armpit. And you can see here that this actually starts to change our plane of motion. So I'm moving now from here, I'm kind of square on the back, right? And this is my beginning into rotation, spiral. Great place to come into side seed, body half, star. So in somatic groundwork, this begins the star seed pattern. Star, and there's a bunch of core to distal play we could do here, which underlies body half, but do that another time. And I could choose to take this all the way to side seed. And then it's a kind of oppositional initiation, right? So it's now the top body half finds its way out from the center. And then here comes another technique in somatic groundwork, the rolling point of contact, moving along the back body. Oh, that feels nice. Lots of tactile sensation. Oh, and some more unwinding. Spontaneous pendiculation, love it. Oh, it's always a really good sign that the body is moving into organization when that happens. Other side of the body. Well, so again, now this is an interesting play, and this has some great opportunity for exploration as well. Yeah, this piece right here, I call this the pencil across. So right now we're working with the basic pattern of body half flexion. And I don't think we're going to get into it today, but there's also body half extension. We'll save that for another time as well. But this flexion means that the eyes and the reflex, kind of the optical reflexes of the eye, the visual reflex, is moving towards the folded or kind of condensing side of the body, right? And actually, in some practices, you would use eyes to initiate this pattern. So eyes looking down, and that is then what sets the whole motion into play. flowing a little bit now back and forth between. Oh my goodness, this is really a needed moment for my body. I can come all the way into side seat, top body half moving out, rolling point of contact. And notice it's this reaching, this spatial support. Groundwork uses a lot of spatial geometry to kind of help with the organization. All right, so that's your basic body half flexion. So let's do one more. Body half, and I can start to have a different rolling play than we were doing before. And in this first one, I'm keeping kind of the, what do we want to call this? I'm staying close within my kinesphere, right? So this kind of ease of folding in the hip and in the knee, ease of folding in the shoulder, elbow. And I'm thinking about elbow and knee kind of kissing. They don't need to stay connected. However, if that's in your range, it's kind of an interesting place to be, this kind of oneness of each side. But the independent units itself are kind of fascinating. And I'm letting one kind of body half go, and it's dragging the other one around. Notice the connectivity of the head, the weight of the head. It's a little bit of a massage for the whole spine. Now I could begin increasing my reach in space with this. What about a body half where I keep, instead of coming into side seat, I keep that top body half lengthened, right? And I can start to have a very different kind of play. I don't know if I've got enough room there. Oh, just missed the wall. Right, arm could come up and out. Gosh, arm could go up and over. And I could lengthen limbs. I think I moved a little bit on that one. Now, I went through all of those patterns fairly quickly. There's actually a lot to play with there. A big part of somatic practice is augmented rest. So that's kind of taking pauses in between activities. So there's this kind of initiate, act, rest cycle. Sometimes the rest is arriving into stillness, again, connecting back to yield, breath. Sometimes, though, I find that the pause is also very interesting in order to let the body have a chance to speak. And tell you what it needs. Rolling on the floor, there's really nothing like it. Somatic groundwork, I feel better. I'm not sure how long we've been in this practice together, how long this video is right now, but I am better. Thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Kayla June. This has been a practice in somatic groundwork. We have been playing around with some ways to explore body half. If you've enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like this video, comment below, tell me what you'd like to see. What is interesting to you about somatic groundwork? I'd love to hear from you. Ciao for now.